Today, I want to take a short story called The Lottery by Shirley Jackson and reframe it as a sketch. If you have not read it, the premise is simple on the surface. A small town gathers once a year for a public lottery. The word lottery does a lot of emotional work. It suggests luck, winning, something almost festive. The story slowly reveals that the tradition behind the word is something much darker. What makes it unsettling is not only what happens at the end, but how ordinary everything feels right up until that moment. No one is panicked at the start. No one is confused in an urgent way. The horror is wrapped in routine. That is what I am trying to translate here, not the plot directly, but that feeling of institutional normality sitting right next to something deeply unexamined. In this version, instead of a rural lottery, we are in a modern civic setting. The town gathers for an annual event called Community Engagement Day. The name is intentional. It matters that everything sounds helpful, collaborative, and slightly corporate. Part of the tension comes from how language is used to smooth over anything sharp. There is a banner in the square that reads, "Today we celebrate equitable contribution." Nothing about it is technically false. That is also the problem. Everything is clean and overmanaged. The kind of environment where nothing messy is allowed to accumulate, including questions. There is a folding table labeled Process Integrity Station. There is a raffle machine labeled Totally Random Selection Device. Everything has branding, as if that makes it neutral. The tone here is important. Nobody behaves like something is wrong. That is the engine of it. If anyone treated this like a crisis, it would collapse. Instead, it survives because everyone treats it like procedure. The people running it, the organizers, the committee, the officials, do not see themselves as powerful. They see themselves as facilitators of a system they did not design, but are responsible for maintaining. They talk about fairness constantly, as if repeating the word stabilizes it. There is a long-time participant who has seen this before enough times that their emotional response has been reduced to inconvenience, not horror or rebellion, but a kind of dull acceptance that feels almost like weather. There is also a newcomer who still asks the obvious questions out loud, not because they are brave in a dramatic sense, but because they have not yet learned which questions are socially expensive. Every time they ask something simple, what exactly is being decided here? What happens after selection? The room does not react with anger. It reacts with practiced deflection. A pause. A smile that is slightly too rehearsed. A phrase like, "We are all contributing to overall system balance," delivered like it answers something. The discomfort in the piece does not come from chaos. It comes from everyone agreeing too quickly. As it continues, the process becomes more important than its meaning. The ritual takes over the conversation. People start referring to outcomes as participation results and equity adjustments, language that sounds precise but avoids naming anything concrete. That is the core idea carried from Jackson's original story. The system does not need to justify itself if it can keep repeating itself. By the time anything real is acknowledged, it already feels like it was decided long ago, not dramatically, just quietly. Thanks for listening. Catch The Quiet Quotient on YouTube and all major podcast platforms. To help us grow and keep supporting creators, please like, follow, and subscribe. Want to get in touch? Connect with me directly at jimhansonmedia.com.